immediately welcoming criminals in our country because they're coming here illegally, and so immediate criminals, and so an underclass.
The daughter called me about 3 o'clock in the morning and say, "Mama, there is a men looking in my window." Hi, and welcome to Ignite Voices TV. Today we have Commander J. Furman, and he is running for Congress for Texas. And I'm so thrilled to have you here today because your girl was a Texan for a season of her life, and we were actually homesteading on 100 acres in Alpine.
That sounds perfect.
So on our property, we were building up a house, so we were living in an RV. We had a couple RVs because I have a family of 10. And I had a daughter who was in the kids' camper call me about 3 o'clock in the morning and say, "Mama, there is a men looking in my window," and they had a flashlight and they were looking in my daughter's window. And so this brings me to the border situation. So I would love to hear your heart on this situation.
Emissary, your story there is all too common. And as a lifetime Texan, I can tell you before I left for military service, which I'm just returning from now, it's changed. In that 28 years or 20 some years I was out of the state, it's not the same border, and it's not the same person coming over the border. Texas forever has had a symbiotic relationship with Mexico and Texas, and families live across that border. And really the people that came over, mostly Mexicans, we had a great relationship in general, if I could categorize a whole people. And you would never have had what you're talking about right there, where you're actually fearful of your daughter and your family being approached or attacked or anything. It was a different sort of feeling then. Now, instead of coming over for work and kind of becoming part of the economy, now people have their hand out and they're angry and they're waiting for us as the U.S. to give them something, and when they don't, they take it, they steal it, or they run through it and break things. And so the border community is under siege, and you got to witness that. I'm afraid that's going to come to every state. Every state is going to be a border state all too soon. We've had about 10 million people come over to our side of the border, and we don't know what their intentions are. The biggest piece of litter south of the border are ID cards. And so we take their word, who they are, where they come from, but they are definitely here and they're among us, and we don't understand their intentions. And these are people that can definitely take care of themselves. And so unfortunately, your daughter her experience may be replicated all over the country because they've moved out from Texas now.
Well, I'll tell you, it is a much different situation when you're actually having it happen. And our show is designed to shift a cultural mindset. And when you haven't dealt with a border issue personally, it's easy to look at things from an outside perspective and say, "Oh, these poor people," and you're just keeping them out, and you're putting a people down, or you're not being loving. And I want to say that my father was actually born in Mexico, and I've talked to him about this situation, and he had family members who came over illegally once upon a time. And my dad is really for border protection because he knows that a safe border makes a safe people. And I don't know about y'all, but out there, I've been to a lot of, I don't even get this, I've been traveling and I'll go places where they have homes that have no fences, and maybe there's a connection here. When you go into communities and people don't have fences, they are used to not having the boundaries. But I'm telling you, there's a real situation going on in Texas, and it is some harsh land, and they're coming across harsh territory. And so we have different things going on. We have the fact that we don't know if they are convicts, if they're cartel, if they're traffickers. What do you plan to do if you get into this position of Congress?
Great question. I've helped our allies secure their borders all over the world in the American interest, where we have combined interests with those countries, and our border is nowhere near some of those borders. And so really we need to go back to enforcing our immigration laws. We need to empower the law enforcement and the military that are fully down there right now, and that's the National Guard, and give them the authorities to be able to detain people, and so that we can lock down the border and stop the flow. But what first has to happen is we have to change the policy. If you look at the policy changes in January 2021, when the new administration came into power, coming across the border at much higher rates, and it's only increased since then. We've had the highest days ever very recently. And so unfortunately, what you're talking about, the empathy for people coming here, we are an immigrant nation, and that is who we are in origin, and we probably shouldn't change that, right? Because it's made us great. But what we are doing with this population, with the policy that invites them to come up, is we are telling them to come through some of the worst terrain, as you said, immediately welcoming criminals in our country because they're coming here illegally, and so immediate criminals, and so an underclass. And this is not Ellis Island. And so what we have is a complete misunderstanding of the image. What we want to do is we want to effort to get people to understand it's not Ellis Island. It's actually rape trees. It's fentanyl mules. It's the things that are unwinding us as a country. It is really the largest American slavery movement that we've had. Well, I don't know about the largest, but it's modern day slavery.
It's definitely records. I just had Border 911 on, and they were speaking, and they deal with, this is their area,
right?
And they were saying record number trafficking specifically because of the borders. Record number of fentanyl crossings, and so I mean you're warranted in saying that because they are keeping track, and there are record numbers of people dying, and so it's rough terrain in that specific region. So people are dying because they can't. Children are dying because they can't make the trek, or they're dying, for different reasons. But the main thing is when they bring death to our nation because they're bringing fentanyl, because they bring fentanyl to our nation. Then now it's not just people on the border situation, like you said, it's going to go, I don't know if we said it before, but it's going to go beyond what we see the borders, Texas, and go to the next, city, to the next town, to the next state, and things. We're already seeing it push. I live in Alabama now, and we're already seeing things as far as Alabama. And so this is not just they're right there and this is their issue. No, this is going to push and keep going and infiltrate if we don't do something about it. So I'm glad that you see this as important, and I really believe, like I said, we were with Border 911, that having a safe border makes us safe people, and that those people that we want to keep safe are our family. They're not to segregate people, they're actually to protect people. They protect our boundaries, they're to protect our property, they protect life, limb, and liberty. And so I thank you for your time today. Commander, where can they get a hold of you, or how can they sew into what you're doing?
Absolutely, thank you, Ms. Sarah. So commanderfurman.com is where you can find us, and we're hoping to build a coalition across the border communities that people can start taking some power back. So if they go to that website, they can figure out how to do that and enforce an immigration law that will keep everybody safe, as you said, and will make this a responsible sort of flow across the border. And we have to process the folks and then send them back and tell them to do it the correct way. So there's a lot going on, but this is the most inhumane situation we'd have. Our current policies are completely to blame, and our lack of enforcement of the laws on the books. And we can do this quickly.
Family of 10, and I want to keep my kids safe. So when you go out and vote, think about how your kids deserve to be safe. They're your children, they're your families. So that's it. I'm Emma Sarah with Ignite Voices TV. Go out and change the world.
So without further ado, I give you fervent heat. Yeah, let's go. Oh,